Tarot! And in today's video, we're going to be looking at what makes you so lovable. I thought this would be a perfectly paired video with another video I did over on my Patreon, which is a self-love guided meditation. We go over the spiritual formula found in the Akashic Records defining self-love's versatility and how much that loving yourself can create more opportunities in your life. So it's not only an emotional benefit, but it broadens and opens up your world even more. So I thought this would be like a fun little cozy session where we just kind of ooze over you. Just get all excited about who you are. Also on my Patreon, I have a message from the Angelic Council about the importance of angels and their purpose. And I also have a whole thing explaining 5D from various beings who have told me information. And I also talk about channeling Santa for Christmas. That's like a whole story within itself. I also want to let you guys know that I have an intuition course and a tarot course. And one of my favorite things, speaking of self-love when it comes to tarot is a fantastic way of bypassing your blockages. Because when we are trying to get to know ourselves or understand an answer to any question, there can potentially be subconscious obstacles we have in the way. We all have them. We all will work our way through them, no problem. And tarot is like one of those fantastic things that bypasses the blockage and can put right in front of you what you might not be able to see. So this is another reason why I'm like, by the way, I got a tarot course, you should check it out, have fun with it. But nonetheless, let's focus on the question at hand. Thank you for listening to me. So in front of us, we've got 4 groups. Group number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pick the group that you resonate with most. Now that you have, you can go down the description where you can skip to your designated group. It's marked timestamp, but let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1. Let's find out what makes you lovable by looking at the cards. We've got the Fool card in reverse. We have the Magician card in reverse. We have the King of Wands in reverse. We have the Death card upright, the High Priestess upright, and the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. Ooh. This is really cool. I see, yes, lovely characteristics about you, but I also see that nearly half of this tarot spread, actually half, is about a really positive, predictive situation or speaking about this topic as a whole. So I love that. I'm going to go over that. But let's first start with the characteristics. So over here, we have the Death card. This speaks about your way of repurposing. Let me just ask my spirit guides if it's things or situations. Both. Lovely. Okay. This shows not only your resourcefulness as a person, but your creativity. I mean, this to me speaks about somebody who, it's interesting. There are characteristics I see here where maybe for a time or in the past, it's almost like, you know how something's right in front of you and you're not connecting to it? It's like you weren't aware of what an asset this was and how that maybe you were hard on yourself and didn't think you were enough, but your actions showed that you always saw that there was more than enough going on right in front of you. Isn't that interesting how our actions really are something to pay attention to and are a reflection of our inner, being, subconscious monologue going on? And yours said, I I cannot be stopped. I have so much inside me. I don't even need a lot in order to express it. And I can always make more when there is very less. It's interesting. I'm surprised we didn't get a Queen of Pentacles circumstance, because she definitely is tied with that situation. But nonetheless, I think that is so beautiful and definitely something to be explored and given credit when it pops up. Like, even if it's super small, like, I don't know, like maybe there's like leftovers and you do something creative with it. I don't know if you like to cook or something like that, in that kind of way. Or maybe you have some leftover boxes and you make a cool little craft and make something new with it. Or maybe you're into like costumes or something like that, and you make a new costume out of old ones and that type of thing. That's truly a skill, and you should take a moment to pause and realize how talented you are. But that also includes circumstantial too. You know, not every one of us is given kind of like dealt a hand where we have enough opportunities, and we're talking whether it be like a confrontational circumstance in your current day-to-day or your past, and you are here now in a way you weren't there then, and you did something with what might have at the time felt like nothing, and that is something that deserves a round of applause often. So give that little moment of round of applause to yourself and how far you've come, which is really beautiful. A characteristic that has definitely helped you through and through throughout your lifetime, I can feel. So going on though, this totally matches the High Priestess. And again, it's so interesting, or it's interesting, but to me it makes sense that we're getting the energy going on over here in the Magician's cards in reverse, and where you're coming out of in the Five of Pentacles in reverse when the High Priestess shows up. Now this will make more sense. I'm especially pointing this out for anybody enjoying my tarot course so we can see all the connecting evidence. So when we have a High Priestess circumstance here, this is somebody who has an opinion where they aren't exactly always sure why they know something. Now, this is somebody who's deeply connected to their intuition, which includes psychic abilities. So sometimes they're coming from a deep inner sense of knowing because they're sort of like connecting sort of to the unknown, you could say. But also they can see what maybe others don't. You know, other people might be more reactionary or caught up in what information they're being fed, and you don't. You always see the truth and are most you feel the most motivation being connected to that authenticity and the truth. So it's very easy for you to see it when other people can't. Very appropriate there's an owl here, because the owl can see in the dark, can see lots of details that maybe other creatures can't. So they thrive in the unknown. You get what I'm saying here? But the thing with the High Priestess is she is somebody who is not afraid of being, sorry about the noise, I'll stop in a second. But she is somebody who is unafraid of being cast out or ostracized temporarily by the community, because she knows in the end that everybody else will see what she sees, but for the time being, she is not going to give in to the thoughts everyone else is. If everyone's like, yeah, but if we all think this, and then it must be true, and then the High Priestess is like, doesn't matter if you all believe it. This is what I believe. Even if you don't think it's realistic or you don't think it's the popular choice, it's still the truth. And so sometimes when people are connected to this type of energy and they're going through that type of feeling like misunderstood, it can be lonely, and it can start to make them be like, man, maybe I should have believed what everyone else believed. And it can make them feel ostracized or feel like they don't know what they're speaking about. Again, this is that energy and the imposter syndrome with the Magician card in reverse. But I want to keep going on from here, and I want to applaud you again. No, you can see the truth. You don't need to explain yourself. It's not about becoming abrasive and angry at the community, but understanding and being patient, both confident in yourself that you do know what you're talking about, and just waiting for other people to catch up. The High Priestess lights the way to everyone else understanding and getting on the same page. Sometimes it's lonely at the top, and you just need to wait for everyone to catch up. Don't worry, they will, and that's the thing with the High Priestess. They always do. They will always come back to your side. But learn to find kind of solace and excitement that, isn't that cool that you already know? You saved yourself the time and the energy of learning lessons other people have to go through. And you should save yourself in the long-term future from lessons you don't need to learn and go through when you already knew that wasn't a good circumstance. You already knew that wasn't a person you talked to. Pay attention to that inner voice more. You have it, connect to it, embrace it more. Going on. This is when, oh wait, do I want to pop over here? I'll pop over here first and then we'll come back around to here. Anyways, King of Wands in reverse. This specifically talks about, my spirit guide said this specifically talks about your proactive ability. You are somebody who gets things done. This is why it's such a beautiful pairing when we talk about how everything runs into each other. Again, going back to the tarot course, over here, we have them facing and being like really paying attention to what's going on over here with the Death card. And we talked about the repurposing of things. In the King of Wands, this is somebody who is getting stuff done. They just have that inner part of them that just doesn't have an issue connecting to it, going out of their way to make it happen. And this is something that I'm being told by my spirit guide doesn't get enough love and attention from you, and you're not aware of how not common this is for other people. Other people really have to dig deep to get this kind of motivation. And when you have this kind of motivation, you can get anything done. So it is worthwhile realizing how much that benefits you with the conjunction of the creativity and the resourcefulness mixed with the insight. Like, we've got a powerful thing going on over here. Now let's get to the element where we talk about the predictive positive stuff going on, because it's just constant confirmations. Over here with the Five of Pentacles in reverse, my spirit guide was telling me about how you are leaving a time period, and I'm so excited for you, where you stop looking at all the things you think you aren't and start realizing all the things you are. We just talked about many beautiful characteristics that all come into play in a practical way on the daily, and most people would want and wish for. So beautiful. Anyway, so going on, this is you leaving that mindset and heading into an era where you really connect to who you truly are, that it is enough, and get really excited about being you, which is really beautiful. That continues on over here with the Magician card and the Fool card. So the Magician card in reverse represents somebody who's suffering from imposter syndrome. Now, this is the thing that's really interesting with it being paired with the High Priestess card. Again, it would make sense somebody would feel like they are an imposter when they know something, don't understand why they know it, they just are connected to that type of thing, and then other people don't believe them, so it starts to become kind of like a unintentional gaslight situation where you start to be like, do I even know what I'm doing? You do. Imposter syndrome is someone who doesn't feel that they are capable. And interestingly enough, not every time, but a lot of the time, imposters, people who suffer from this, are actually incredibly talented. They're just kind of uber perfectionists and tend to put themselves down a lot more heavily. So understandable, rough goings. No longer, though. We're leaving that time period, which is really beautiful. Let me just ask if you're going through it or it's coming soon. It's coming soon. Blanketly or for general? Blanketly. Okay, cool. I love that. So get ready for that sort of inspired actions to pop up. And when they do, when you feel like you want to give more into loving yourself and it feels wrong to dislike yourself, listen to that inner voice. Give it attention. Practice it. Anyway, so with the Fool card being specifically represented by Uranus, I want to talk about how that comes into its interaction with the Magician card, because again, we can see it interacting with the Magician card. So with Uranus, this talks about sudden change, but it talks about change in an extremely positive light. It implies that something unexpected happens, but it ends up benefiting the person for the better. The Fool doesn't know where they're going to go next, and things just kind of pop up, but the Fool also is somebody who gets to their destination, believes in the impossible, and the impossible happens. And so this is one of those things where, as it's going into the Magician card, expect a lot of your imposter syndrome to work itself out, not only by giving yourself love in any way you can, whether that just be saying nice affirmations to yourself, listening to a guided meditation, or just taking time to practice in your everyday speech and the way you express yourself to others, like the way you're trying to express who you are as a person, you stop putting yourself down. But when we have this Fool card popping up, it implies there's going to be some little things like unexpected changes you were not anticipating. Go with the flow. Don't resist them. Understand that this change is going to be for the better, and you're going to really like how it aids you in finding more confidence and more of a positive connection to all these characteristics we talked about. So yeah, like a positive, coming soon, blanketly for everyone. And I'm not usually able to say that. Sometimes I can only say bulk or percentages. So I'm very excited for all of you in group number 1 to be more connected to the amazing person you already are. Very, very, very cool. So please leave a comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Helps out like you would not believe. I'm wishing you the best. I'll see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's find out what makes you so lovable by looking at the cards. We've got Ace of Swords in reverse, Knight of Wands upright, 10 of Wands in reverse, 10 of Pentacles upright, 4 of Pentacles upright, and the Hangman upright. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, so there's definitely a side of you that I'm seeing already that is maybe not as explored as it possibly could, and you should totally explore it, because not only is this really positive, but this creates what gets built up here, and then this positively leads to something else, which then brings you back to here, and then we have this gorgeous cycle that enables you to be somebody who can live in existence where you're both sides of the coin, so to speak. These are not definitive characteristics. It's more just like somebody who's like both calm and excited. Creative and a little more introspective. I don't know if those are opposites, but you get what I'm saying here. So give me 1 second just to hear the rest of what my spirit guide has to say, because I want to make sure I got everything. Interesting. Okay, very cool. So let's start with 10 of Pentacles. So 10 of Pentacles is really interesting here because it's being read to me like 10 of Cups, and I was checking in with my spirit guide to make sure I was hearing them correctly, and they said yes, this is more read like a 10 of Cups situation, but this is one of those circumstances where it's still being picked as a card in comparison of the other one due to the imagery with the anchor we have going on over here. So this is all about your ability to connect and easily share and express your love, and just in general build this sort of deep connection with other individuals. It's not hard for you to tap into that with another person. The thing that's really interesting here, though, is my spirit guide said it does not matter if currently you do not have a crew, your friend group, your family, a loved one. Maybe you've even been hurt in the past because you are so good at connecting with others. And so you've kind of, pulled yourself a little bit away from all of that because that's not really where you're at right now. You need some time to heal. But nonetheless, do not avoid it. Always walk towards it. And what might just seem casual to you, depending on the circumstance, again, this is a general reading. Maybe you're just like, yeah, whatever. I love my friends. Who cares? The thing is, my spirit guide was very serious about this. They said, it is insurmountably powerful to have this ability. Not everybody has it, and it can aid you in a lot of ways. We actually talk about that in the self-love guided meditation, but I'd be happy to make a video talking about the extension of love, because people in the spiritual community talk about the idea of love. They're like, oh, love, have love, be love. But on an Akashic Records, like spiritual formula level, it is a lot going on with it, and that can be explored more, but I'll talk about that later. Anyways, the point is, you've got it. Keep doing it. If you currently are disconnecting right now, just know you should probably move towards that in the future. And remember, it is a strength and it's an ability, and you can use it for so much more, even than just the enjoyment of connecting to others, which is so beautiful. Now going on, we have the 4 of Pentacles. It's interesting with the, I forgot to mention the anchor. Totally almost went past that. The anchor though, the anchor shows the way, how did my spirit put it? They said, love only has the weight you give it, which I think is really interesting. So just something to ponder. Anyway, moving on to the 4 of Pentacles. Now, my spirit guide said this might seem like a hindrance, but is actually a really positive part of you. And this card is one of the definitive cards that explains the sort of cycle we've got going on here with the different cards, and I'll explain later. So in the Four of Pentacles, this is somebody who tends to hold back. And my spirit guide, I want to, I always like to ask for specifics if this is the whole group of everyone watching. They explained when it comes to holding back, for some people it could be financial, for some people it could be emotional, for some it's both or everything, maybe what you have opinionated wise to say, whatever it is, there's a sense of like wanting to wait until other people maybe make a move, or you're looking to see how things play out before you sort of relinquish your energy, resources, opinion, and emotions, whatever may have you. Now the thing is, this in any other reading would be something where it's like, oh, we should try to work on this, or it's understandable you're there, but try to overcome it. But in this circumstance, my spirit guide said this enables you to actually work with and be able to see multiple timelines of what could happen. As in, you could always later change your mind and then make the investment. You could always change your mind later and then express the emotion. It's not too late. But by holding back, you are allowing yourself to see what would it be like if I didn't interact with it, and you can kind of in your head play with the option of, well, what if I did? And so this is something interesting to ponder, because if you're on a subconscious level looking at different timelines and you're evaluating, this is something you could potentially use to your benefit. The first thing that comes to mind for me is definitely psychic abilities. This is so beautifully synchronous. Like, I actually just talked about parallel lives recently on the Patreon and stuff like that. So that's so interesting we were talking about this. But the point is, your ability to basically see, well, what are the potential of what happens next is actually a skill and something wonderful about you. It shows your insightfulness, your intelligence, and it shows your capabilities of seeing outside the box, which beautifully leads us to the Hangman and Upright. This is very much out of the box thinking. This is another thing I was checking on the spirit guide, because they were saying that you have a tendency to look at things from a different perspective compared to the group. And I said, do you mean like devil's advocate, where it's like maybe you can see the other person's side, or do you mean out of the box thinking? My spirit guide said out of the box thinking. Now I wish I could explain to you exactly the vibrational hold they sent me, because some ideas can be communicated through vibrations, which just basically means, how do I say this? Sometimes things are really well understood after you read a whole novel about it. But these complex ideas that need so much wording and explanation and stories to back up and create and convey properly the emotion can be explained and understood in seconds through vibrations, which is really beneficial. But it does make it a little difficult for me to explain what I'm experiencing vibrationally. So it's something where I'm feeling like, yes, you're creative. Yes, blanket statement. It's outside of the box thinking. Again, I don't mean to be redundant saying that, but that is just the blanket term we're using here. But it's very... It's almost a little bit borderline, like maybe people initially are like, what are you talking about? And it's like so out of their realm of comfort that it might seem a little off, but it's actually not at all a negative thing. You are definitely fulfilling sort of, how do I put this? So when you become more acquainted with like the spiritual meanings of stuff and people's like purpose and existence, it's very common that people or various beings or plants or whatever, sometimes their purpose is to hold sort of an energy or an idea that exists in the world in a tangible living form. And it feels like, and now I'm not saying this is your purpose, I want to be clear about that. I'm just saying that this feels like a part of your journey, so to speak. But it feels like you're meant to hold this energy in a way other people can't process or always understand right away or always appreciate the way that you can. So this is like a very fantastic, wonderful thing, like a unique part that you're adding to the world that other people can't. But remember, people can't always come to new ideas and decisions without this type of thinking. So it's a very wonderful factor that you're adding the other options by expressing these ideas that other people wouldn't be able to connect with if you didn't see them share it, put it out there, and then people to connect with it. So anyways, going on, now we have the 10 of Wands in reverse. Now this is where you'll start to see, and this is where it's going to go really quickly and it all connects together back to where it feels like the feeling of the Four of Pentacles. So in the Four of Pentacles, we have someone really kind of like holding back, waiting, anticipation. Maybe it's a nervous quality where you're like, no, I don't know, let me wait, let me see, that type of thing. But meanwhile, we have someone who deeply can make connections, seeks them out, benefits from them greatly, right? So over here in the 10 of Wands in reverse, you are actually very, very, very good when you've had enough, so to speak, at just letting it all out, being like, I'm done, and releasing tension in sort of a complete whole way. Now, I know this is a weird characteristic to say that is lovable about you, but not everyone is able to release tension so fully the way you do. And by you being like, enough, I'm done, I don't care anymore, this is actually something that's quite intoxicating to people. They want it too. They want to experience that feeling too, or even just being in your energy and vibe and experience in that way when you go into this state, which I'm being told by my spirit guide is not very often. Yeah, they're like shaking their head. They're like, nope, not very often. Is not very often, and definitely should be like when you feel that urge, go with it more. But it makes complete sense when we have the Four of Pentacles, because the opposite of the Four of Pentacles when it is in reverse is someone who is opening up, but it tends to have a very sarcastic tone. They're very much like, all right, fine, let's just do this. You know what? Let's go. I'm going to go try something new. So they are being more open, but it's definitely not as free flowing and silly as like the Fool card and that type of thing. So that makes sense when we have somebody who gets tension so built up, or they're dealing with whatever, or they're resistant, and then out of nowhere they're like, you know what, I can't take it anymore. And then they let it all out. Now, what's beautiful about this is once you let it all out and you're done and you've given yourself that permission, that is when the Knight of Wands pops out in you. We'll just describe it simply as very passionate, very fiery. And this part of you becomes so, enthralling to others, not only in an attractive quality, as in like, when you're kind of putting out the vibes and you're having a good time and letting other people know like you're ready to flirt and stuff like that, but more so the mindset where, again, it goes back to that like wonderful quality we've got going on in the 10 of Wands. When people have that extra something special about them because it's like they just really are confident within themselves and they just do not care what the general public thinks. They're just vibing, and other people are like, wow, I wish I could be like that. When you're in this state of mind, you really give into that, and just people extra find that endearing and want to be around it, which is really beautiful. But here again is where it all becomes a beautiful cycle. This sort of chain of events and these wonderful characteristics of yours leads into the Ace of Swords in reverse. Now, it's not being read in reverse, but rather facing outwardly, implying that new ideas and new mindsets get started once you've freed yourself up enough in this way. And when you're free in this kind of way, you basically allow yourself to become more explorative, see ideas in a way you wouldn't normally be open to, and put yourself into positions where you would experience new ideas in the way you wouldn't have. So it's sort of like you're storing, you're building, you're contemplating, you're introspective, you're holding back, you're understanding all the possible options. It becomes, it has its benefits, but you're like, I can't take it anymore, I need a break. You release, you relax, you enjoy, you thrive, and then you sort of start new cycles, you start new mindsets, you try new things, new eras, and this is something that should be kind of explored more. Or I don't want to say should, if you want to. My spirit guide's like, no, tell them should. Okay, so should. We'll do that. So when you feel that urge to kind of let it all out and give yourself more of a break and just have a little more fun and kind of drop everything and give yourself a second, follow that inspired action more often. It will always lead you back to this, and this is not negative or bad in the least. It has so many benefits that we went over. Each thing is starting something new and then exploring those options. Those options get stale, you recycle. You are basically taking care of yourself. And this is, oh my goodness, now I understand why the Ten of Pentacles is even more important. I was wondering, my spirit guide wasn't saying what this imagery was, but look at this, like the cocoon to the butterfly, or this could be a moth. But the point is, we have that sort of regeneration process going on naturally. You're your own protection, regeneration, and blooming all in one experience. And each part of that cycle is something that is wonderful about you and endearing. So super cute, super fun, super wonderful. Just a beautiful cycle going on here. So please leave a comment, a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It helps out like you would not believe. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3. Let's find out what makes you so lovable by looking at the cards. We've got the 9 of Cups in reverse, the 8 of Cups. Oh, wow. I know so much about your personality. We've got 2 of Wands upright, Queen of Swords in reverse, 7 of Wands in reverse, and Knight of Swords in reverse. Give me one moment to look at everything. Did you guys notice my sweater matches the cards? Unintentional. Or was it? Okay, let me look at it. Oh, okay. This is going to be fantastic for you because there are a lot of great traits about you that create a lot of momentum in your life. That is one of the wonderful characteristics about you that is very enticing for others. You are somebody who gets a lot of things done and you just kind of seem to be in the flow. People are like, ooh, I want to have some of that energy type of thing. But when certain things aren't in alignment and they feel out of alignment for you, there becomes a sense of like you're not really going anywhere. I don't even want to say full stagnation. It's like you're doing stuff, but nothing's coming to fruition. So we have both positive characteristics about you, but we actually have some great insight as how you can keep that momentum going up. So, and it gets repeated twice, by the way. It gets repeated over here and it gets repeated over here. So let's first start with these 2 cards interacting with one another. One, we have the 9 of Cups in reverse. Now, the 9 of Cups in reverse is somebody who gets everything they exactly wanted out of the thing that they wished for. So it shows us your capabilities of manifesting, which is really beautiful, and definitely, who does not love that? But it is a really beautiful trait that you're someone who knows what they want in life. But this is where the sort of hindrance comes in. But also a positive, I do want to point out. When it is in reverse, this is somebody who got mostly what they wanted, but there's still a few kind of snags or flaws in the ultimate outcome of the thing. And for you, especially when I see what's going on over here in the 8 of Cups and the sort of focus that was pre-initially planned into the intent, we'll go over that in one second, it kind of eats away at you. And you notice it and you start to pick at it. Now, the beautiful trait about this is you want things to be how you want them to be, not out of control, but you kind of dare to, ask the universe and other people, well, why can't I have it all? Why can't I have the most of a circumstance? Why can't I be on the greener pastures? And that is not a negative thing. That is a beautiful thing. Dreamers help others dream. But when you get too caught up in asking about the things that are not working out and focusing on them, the little tiny little, like we're talking about like getting what you want, but then a little things off, and then you're focusing on the things that are a little bit off. This is what causes the 8 of Cups in reverse. When the 8 of Cups are in reverse, this is when somebody is trying to move forward, trying to create momentum. There's a lot of there's effort put in and action, but they just seem to be going in circles. Nothing's really moving forward. No paths are clearing up. And they can kind of pretty much tell. It's not even like you're moving forward in the dark the way the Star card in reverse would be, where you're like, I feel like I'm moving forward, but I don't know if I'm moving forward. When you're in an 8 of Cups in reverse situation, you're like, I know I'm not moving forward. It's annoying. I'm aware I'm walking in circles. I've seen this tree before. So this is where we get that indicator of that lack of momentum. Now, the beautiful thing is we can turn this upright. And what is beneficial can also create momentum. So it's not about fully ignoring those flaws and telling you, get over it. It's that you can notice them, say to the universe, yes, this is beautiful, but I still want these other things, and I'm not giving up until I have them. But not focusing on them so much that you create and you basically mimic the message to the universe, oh, but this, and this. Yeah, but I see a blockage. There's obstacles. And then the universe goes, okay. And the more weight you put on them, that's what you get back. Instead, it's being like, oh, you're right. I am so good at manifesting. I'm amazing at getting what I want. There's still a couple extra things I'd like, and I'm going to work towards getting them. But man, for the most part, this is awesome. And when you focus on the reality of how powerful you are at bringing these things into your life, both the lack of fear for wishing for things. I know this sounds silly, but not everybody's comfortable wishing for what they exactly want. Being able to know what you want, being able to be comfortable for wishing what you want, and having the capability of attracting it to you, that is when you get the momentum going. So it's about, this is where it gets really beautiful too. This creates a sense of inner compass in you that you can also identify. It's both wonderful. It's just a lovely quality about you, but it's something you can use as an asset to better understand yourself. That if you start to notice a stagnation in your progression and you're also simultaneously nitpicking little things, that's when you tune back in yourself and you go, wait a minute, that means other things have been positively working out. I need to focus my attention on those in order to create more momentum. Now over here, this is what I meant when I said it made sense, the sort of getting fixated on it. We've got a planner. You are a planner, an organizer. You are definitely somebody who is aware of all the well, this, and did you know this, and it could be this. So you're definitely like an organizer and planner before, wait, let me just double check if it means going into projects as well. Both. Okay, cool. So it's both going into projects, like you're like, oh, I'd like to do this. Maybe you like to create vision boards or something like that. Or before you go into a project, you're someone who's definitely like creating outlines or however way you like to tactfully create the organization, which is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. It's one of those traits that people on the DL really admire, because you're someone who, when you go into a project, you know how you're going to approach it and you know what you're doing. That sense of confidence is very alluring to people. And that capability of being able to organize information is, you have to have a lot of intelligence and be able to both see the details and the bigger picture at the same time. You have to see the now and the future and the possibility. That's a lot of multitasking. I mean, I would even add that to the characteristics, traits that's very lovable about you, your ability to multitask. And that's really interesting for most people. But that also explains, sorry, I'm tripping over my words. And that also includes when people are preparing themselves to know about things. That is also information that you're aware of as well. But you can see when somebody is like, okay, I want this, and this to happen, and they're really focused and good at overanalyzing things, you can see where your overanalyzing can sometimes work against you. But we just talked about how it's always a benefit and how you can always use it to your benefit. Now going over here, this is when momentum gets built again and we get to know a little more lovely characteristics about you. We have these two cards working in relationship with each other. The 7 of Wands in reverse and the Queen of Swords in reverse. Hold on one second. Let me just double check something. Okay, cool. So anyways, with the Seven of Wands in reverse, this refers to you being more of a pacifist. You are definitely someone, and I don't mean this in being a pacifist is like not at all a negative thing, but traditionally the Seven of Wands in reverse more refers to a doormat, but my spirit guide said that it more refers to pacifism. As in, if somebody is like picking a fight or being confrontational, you're like, you know what, it's just not worth it, girl. And that shows how you are able to realize, again, when we talk about this idea of momentum, you're like, this is not going to build towards anything. I see the bigger picture. I also see that you're projecting on me. I'm going to just let you work yourself out, work your own situation out. But like, I am not going to waste my energy. I'm not going to get worked up about this. I'm moving on. I'm going to just chillax and pull back. You know when to walk away. And that is a really hard skill a lot of people do not have. It is easier to give in to initial reactions, but my goodness, do you pay for them later, both personally with guilt, but sometimes in what you need to like work with other people later. And somebody who's able to understand that and pull away and take a breath, or able to not even get worked up in the first place, my goodness, you are saving yourself and the other party a lot of time, but you're adding a lot to the world, because anger is something that is transferred from one person to generation to so on and so forth. And it's sort of a never-ending cycle until someone eventually says, enough. I know it got projected on me, but I'm not going to take it on, nor am I going to spread it. And so your existence is an important part that builds to something else. Do you see what I'm saying? You're a part of the whole, and that's a very important thing to be. So anyways, that comes into play with the Queen of Swords. Now, what's really cool about you is you are definitely someone who is honest, who shares what they have to, what they feel is the truth. But you're really good at not overextending yourself, and a lot of people really feel this sense of like kinship with you when they get your honest answer. And it's not that you hide the truth from anyone or you lie or anything like that. But again, we go back to that idea of confrontation. If you notice somebody is giving you a hard time and basically through their actions they're saying to you, I don't want to hear it, I know everything, you think you know everything, blah, 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 and they're in that state of mind, basically your inner self goes, okay, you sound like you don't want to hear the honest opinion of X, Y, and Z. Okay, well then I'll just keep that to myself. So when people do get your honest opinion, and keep in mind you do not covet this so deeply, it's not like you're, sparsely giving this out, but people notice when you bite your tongue and you hold back and you're just kind of like, okay, and they notice when you're honest with them. And not only do they value that authenticity, but they value that they can see both on a conscious and a subconscious level that, oh wow, that means like I was cool. That means like I didn't, I sort of passed, I don't want to say passed the test because you're not putting anyone through the test, but they realized how they did react in accordance to someone else, how they chose to act, and they realized that by you showing the truth, not only do they get the value of the truth, but they also get the value of being like, oh, I'm like matching their vibrations, like, oh, cool, like I value and respect so much about the way they handle things and their momentum. I'm anything like them or in their sort of realm of energy. Ooh, you know what I mean? So really beautiful. But again, we have over here the Knight of Swords creating this idea of momentum moving forward. Wait, let me just double check on my spirit guide. Okay, so I'm just double checking. My spirit guide was telling me about how when you save your energy and you don't give in to these things and you pull away, this also includes situations, if you feel situations are like, and we're not just talking about interactions between people, we're talking about, like, it includes people too, but it also includes like the energy of a project. If you feel like, ooh, you're pushing back and this isn't going to go nowhere, I'm going to pull back a little bit, pull back my interest and my full heart and effort in that kind of way. You're basically creating momentum by saving yourself time. You are not engaging in what would be a waste of time, and you're therefore more easily able to bypass the what could potentially be an obstacle, which then creates more momentum in you. So if you ever feel yourself engaging with like giving into, oh well, they said this or this happened and blah blah blah, or this happened and then this happened and then I did this and I told them that, and you realize you're not really building any sort of traction, you're just kind of giving into the temporary drama of it all, that would be a good time to check back in, know who you are, tune back into this, and notice yourself very quickly get past the circumstance and therefore again create momentum. So beautiful, lots of momentum, lots of really mature ways of handling things, lots of confidence in knowing who you are and what you want, a great thorough planner and organizer, and those staple type of foundations create a longevity in life and the way you approach situations. So ultimately, you're cool as heck. So if you enjoyed this, please leave a comment, a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for our final group number 4. Group number 4, let's find out what makes you so lovable by looking at the cards. We've got 6 of Wands in reverse, 3 of Cups in reverse, Knight of Pentacles in reverse, King of Cups in reverse. We have Knight of Cups in reverse, and Queen of Wands in reverse. Oh, interesting. I'm going to ask my spirit guide about this because this is very much piquing my interest. Oh. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's turn this frown upside down. Okay, first we're going to start with the interaction going on over here because it's a bit predictive, and predictive as in like predictions in it, and they're all seamlessly going together, which is really beautiful. So first, the Knight of Pentacles. You're definitely somebody who connects to the greater good of a situation, and in general as a whole, it's definitely a fantastic morale, like you're connected to morality very strongly, which is beautiful. It is an extremely admirable trait, and you'll find in life, depending on who you meet, people are like, wow, that's rare. It's it's not rare, like people do have it, but some are more connected to it than others and actively put it at the forefront of their decision making. It definitely has that community element that you'll hear me talk about again when we talk about over here and over here. So when it comes to the greater good, that comes into play perfectly with the King of Cups upright. This is someone who has extreme emotional intelligence, intensely. This shows me that you are somebody people go to very often for advice. I don't want to say like a mentor, it's just people want to know what you think of a circumstance. Because the King of Cups is somebody who's able to see all the different sides of a circumstance. That even includes themselves in a situation. And when they make a choice, again, very similar to the Knight of Pentacles, this is why this is sort of a, if you're taking my tarot course, this is sort of like a confirming card situation, because this talks about the greater good, this talks about the greater good, and then their interaction talks about the greater good with the way they interact with each other. So when we talk about that, they are able to make a decision that's best for everybody in the group. They care about each individual and the whole, which is very hard to make decisions based on basically making everyone happy, and yet you are able to do it. And you are able to not get like emotionally reactionary when it comes to all of this. So, fantastic person to give advice, extremely emotionally intelligent, someone who's highly connected to their morality, which is a really beautiful thing to have in this world, and in general, wonderful friend and companion to have. But then, this creates a streamline, which is so beautiful, which is where the Knight of Cups comes in reverse, comes into play. It's interesting. This is not the Page of Cups, but my spirit guide's still reading it as the Page of Cups because of the cup and the way it is being shown over here. Let me just ask them real quickly why that is. Oh, okay, the tenacity. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so when we have this system going on here, you have basically said to the universe, hey, I am open and able to handle both emotionally, intellectually, and morally, like we just talked about before, understanding the bigger picture of how it all works, which is big and beautiful. Over here, the Knight of Cups is representing that it is handing you, the universe is handing you the bigger secrets. My spirit guide said you were going to be getting bigger messages from the universe. And I was like checking with them. I'm like big messages, like really important ones. Wait, like important or just big? Just big. As in, like things not everyone is able to talk about or handle because it might, I don't want to say, we're not talking about them understanding it. We're talking about like some people aren't ready to hear certain information and it might be overwhelming, but you can handle it. So the universe goes, okay, well, we will tell you our secrets, so to speak, because we know that you will not only be able to handle it, but we know where your sort of inner compass goes and you'll do the right thing, so to speak. So that's beautiful. But I asked why it was the Knight of Cups that popped up in reverse rather than the Page of Cups, because the Page of Cups more traditionally talks about messages and stuff in that kind of way. And my spirit guide said it's because the Knight has a stronger tenacity than the Page. The Page is somebody who's sort of kind of like receiving and sending messages and so on and so forth because they are learning. But the Knight is like going in there very strong. There's no backing down. It's sort of showing us the flavor of like how strong the messages are coming in, how much they're going to be coming your way, and basically be like, here you go, we're sure of it, you're ready for it, here you go, based on these wonderful traits. So not only are you lovable and wonderful for these ways we discussed, but these same traits also benefit you not only in an endearing quality, but open up a pathway for so much more. And this is where the predictive element comes in. Now, the interesting thing here is, even though we have this going on, we have a bit of sort of not feeling the best about yourself simultaneously with what's going on over here. And we're both giving you reassurance, but an explanation as to why you might feel that way. So over here in the Three of Cups, my spirit guide said that you are, first of all, you're just great at having fun. You're a fun person. Who doesn't love that? That is a very underrated trait. Not enough people have fun. You're a very fun person, but you're really great at just getting to know multiple people, building a community by people just knowing you, and from that networking can become very popular and somebody who gets recognized very easily for their capabilities and really kind of held up in a likability factor. Both the Queen of Wands and the Six of Wands are heavy likability factors, very attractive. People are just drawn to them for a multitude of reasons. Also, Queen of Wands is like physical attraction, which is really beautiful, but these cards are all in reverse. This was not only implying to me, but I got confirmed to me by my spirit guide that you're just not really connecting to this right now, which is not fun and very emotional to go through. You're not really seeing how valuable and your worth you are to everyone else and yourself. So over here, the explanation my spirit guide gave me was that because the reason why it's in reverse as well is because when you don't have a good network, a good group of friends, it's not just making connections with anyone, but if you are connected to people who don't really value you and flakiness and stuff like that, what ends up happening is you are sort of picking up that, if they don't care about you, then where's the stableness of the actual connection and the interlying web between everyone? And so how can that connection be strong enough to sort of create, I don't want to say create a hive mind, that's not the right vocabulary. To create, we'll just simply say to create, then build the momentum of you being valued, because they don't value themselves. And because they don't value themselves, they can't value you deeply. And so therefore, this can't happen. And then because there's a sort of disconnect within your group that you can underlyingly feel, a disconnection because you're meant to be kind of revered in this lovable, liking, wonderful way, lead the pack, you have this interesting energy because both the Six of Wands and the Queen of Wands are like leaders and are comfortable being leaders and are seen as leaders, but they're still very much a part of the group. They do not see people below them. They enjoy being the center of attention and they enjoy being acknowledged for their leadership, but they're definitely somebody who like gets in there and gets dirty if that needs to happen. If a task needs to get done and they say, hey guys, we need to get this done, and they're seeing that everyone's struggling, they're going to go in there and do their extra part, and people really admire them for that. You know what I mean? So when we have over here the Queen of Wands, my spirit guide was like, they have the experience, they have the energy, they have the possibility to be magnetic, but if they don't have the right network around them, how can they connect to all this? Because it's kind of like one thing affecting the other. So if you don't feel connected to this, re-examine your life around you. What's your network? Do you like your friends? Do you feel like you have a group of either like loved ones or whoever you can turn to and genuinely like what you have to offer? Or do you just feel like there's something off and they don't really have your back? And maybe even they make a little snide joke every now and then and you're not quite sure what the deal is. That is a good time to re-examine, reassess all of that, because they are using you for, I often find too, I'm just going to add these 2 cents, there's certain cards that pop up often with certain circumstances, and I find the Three of Cups in reverse often pops up when you got a group of friends that get, there's like a group of friends, but then they get a new center group friend every 6 months because they're flakes, and they tend to make that new center group person, they tend to be somebody who is filled with so much trust and love and light, and we talk about all these fantastic qualities within you. And they basically suck them dry. Keep in mind, you can never have your light taken away from you. They suck them dry and then they go and get their next one when they're bored. And so if you feel that that is the group that you're around, understand in a weird way it's a compliment to how valuable you are, but get out of there. Go rebuild your group and understand this is sort of your way of connecting to yourself and be like, I don't feel like the best I possibly could. Let me not take it on and project it about me, but look around me and realize I'm actually picking up what's happening around me and pay attention to that going on into the future. So remember, you are attractive, you are extremely likable, magnetic, network connecting, greater good, morale, emotionally intelligent, all these beautiful characteristics. You're extremely likable and can build so much more with just your existence. I got really intense there at the second. Very beautiful. Feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing the next one. Goodbye.